We are in the book of Nehemiah.
Amado buku Nehemiah driga.
We are looking at the call of God on people's lives.
Amamu adronga bomvenga baki be driga rendrele.
We saw Bartimaeus was called by God.
Andre Bartolomea adronga onvedini.
We saw the call that God gave to Moses in Egypt.
Andreva onvenga adronga ba Musa onvejo ijitogari.
Here in Nehemiah chapter 1, we're going to see that God will call this man to an amazing work for God.
Amamundrela Nehemiah alogada adronga onvedi ijozi azizo nyambambarola ga.
At this particular time in the history of the world,
Sa digada winjeza onokudrigarga.
the Persian might, the Persian Empire is ruling.
Aya opi paziagare do andrangonyani.
And for God's amazing works and how he does things, he put Nehemiah as the cupbearer to the king of Persia.
Azia dronga no nambambarosi adronga ba Nehemiah ba bendere rupiriro.
What a prestigious position.
Andre dodri ambogo ingonlaya.
What a great responsibility to pour drinks for the king of the world.
Abo azia mbogo aba ako opini bulereki sokubaya game baki fedinemi.
But God put him there for a specific reason.
Adronga by the da ijozi alo inilasi.
God's going to give Nehemiah a calling.
Aya dronga la mun Nehemiah ne umvenga feleri.
And so it's true for you.
Edifa anda mini.
God's going to orchestrate your life and put you maybe before rulers, maybe before, government officials.
Adronga ocho imidri bale dodo ocho lemi fele drujo dileka ki ba palega au ko zinga gametebe daki ba palega.
For a specific reason, for a specific purpose to glorify God in.
A sisilela a lo seva a sisilela se adronga ru ichujo.
Nehemiah chapter 1, verses 1 through 3.
Nehemiah lo nire orojo lo kwere naga.
The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hekeliah, it came to pass in the month of Chiz, in the 20th year, I was in Shushan, the citadel, that Hananel, one of my brothers, came with men there in this area called Shushan. It says that one of my brothers came with men from Judah, and I asked concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. So here's the story. Nehemiah writes that I was sitting in my position, and I came out to the gates.
Nehemiah sideni jo irengu itrigada do kitigado.
And I saw one of my brothers. It may be a true brother, a blood brother. It may be a Jewish brother.
Jo inre edripi ocho dodru adripi ngba andre tinete tinira au ocho dodru adripi surugare.
And he saw him come through the gate, so he stopped them.
Inre de amoga kitigada etidichi.
I have a question for you.
Mazitanga domine dene.
How's Jerusalem?
Jerusalem idingonia.
How are the people in Jerusalem?
Ba Jerusalem gar kingoni.
And look what it says in verse 3.
Inre dodri ai nere nagada jingoniare.
They said to me, the survivors who are left from captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach.
Jo kimani ba doro palepi Jerusalem gadararki ajidoki ango aloga.
The walls of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burned with fire.
Abi Jerusalem sujoriki andiki vogara aya eve vakera.
Verse 4.
Ai nirisu.
So it was when I heard these words that I sat down and wept and mourned for many days.
Mamujo dikerlebo are voga mawo udumingi.
I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven.
Are nakadaza dale mungu zizabe mungu zijo urugale.
Nehemiah woke up to an ordinary day.
Nehemiah anga udozi ini Yalagada.
He probably did this very thing every day. He would go to the gate and greet people as they came in.
Ocho ijo dingale sa pirkisi dimu ketiga di baki zibaki ne mo garigado.
Every day he would sit and request and ask for information from people that would come through the gates. And then
Edeva reketiga da edeva baki zi ba ijo kusujo kitiga ba muepi reke.
ordinary day,
Udozin do inale de draga.
same as every other day.
Va udozir ki ba drorene.
But this particular day is going to change Nehemiah's life.
Udu alo de muedri Nehemiah dgaro jale.
This ordinary day is going to turn out to be an extraordinary calling upon his life.
Udu abiudu di bazike adro danere di modrudu ozinto inila si umvetango umvejo.
When he asked about Jerusalem, they said, oh, bad things are happening there.
Ki drikijo zi Jerusalem drigabo kijo ijo nzika na kero ngaleda.
The people are suffering.
Baki drichi.
The walls are torn down.
Bike ndikira.
They're in distress and reproach.
Kyo ochogoga.
And when these words were heard by Nehemiah, he began to cry.
Ijo diki Nehemiah la mukerelebo odo wole.
Nehemiah is not one of those guys that cried often in the Bible.
Nehemiah drobazir kene awo pipipile gara anero dawa bolagako.
He's a very strong man, very tough man. Later on, we're going to read about these men that disobeyed him, that he grabbed the hair from their chin and said, oh, how dare you do these things? I would never do that to anyone. I'm not that kind of man. They go, but Nehemiah, a very strong man. But yet, he is crying, he is weeping. He's touched. He's touched by God. God has given him a burden for Jerusalem and for the people of Jerusalem. But what can I do? I'm just one man. He begins to cry for many days. He began to fast and pray. That's the first thing you do when God gives you a burden. Have you ever had a burden for someone or the